problem was, though, the motion tracking was just too imprecise.
Yep.
And could cause motion sickness.
Oh, no.
Combined with, because of the time they were concerned with radio waves being that close to the brain, they had to put a whole bunch of metal plating on the inside, which weighed it down, so it no longer could be supported by a head strap. So it was relegated to on a stand, because they were also worried about kids running around with it on their heads and taking their heads off. So...
Yeah, probably the stand was probably a good idea thinking about that, because I can just imagine, like, what if a kid, I don't know, decided to play with it outside and just started running around and then just went out into, like, I could just totally
You also got to realize, though, the technology was not even close to that at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But, so it got relegated to an underpowered, because it had lower, like, powered hardware to compensate for the batteries.
Yep.
Because that was Nintendo's thing. And... basically, it was confined to a stand. It still had to stay... So the reason why it had to stay battery-powered is because they had already built the custom plastic, like... They had already paid for all the custom plastic shells and stuff to put the system in.
Yep.
So it was basically just kind of like... It was like a constant, like, thing after thing.
Yep.
And, but... Hey guys, I'm Bill, also known as the Barbecue Games on Instagram.
And I'm Alex, his sister, who brings only chaos.
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast, a mostly video game centered podcast.
But half the time, we just talk about anime.
And that collecting thing, well, that's mostly just an implication at best.
So come along and enjoy us on this adventure
as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how you been?
Well, it's been only a couple hours since we last recorded, but Happy New Year! It's officially 2022, and it already sucks. Because Betty White died, and Joe from Impractical Jokers quit, and I'm real sad about it. And also, you can't watch Full Metal Alchemist anymore.
On Netflix.
Yep.
Way to bring down the mood.
Well, I'm sorry. I saw that and I was genuinely upset. 2022. Let's hope it gets better. But I have my doubts.
So, last night after we recorded, we spent most of New Year's watching... We watched One Piece.
We watched the One Piece Z film, which was the first time I watched it. And I was like, read that it was one of like the favorites, and I thought it was very good.
I think it's technically One Piece Z, but...
Well, no, it's Z.
Z.
That's the... No, but the box says Z.
Yeah, but I think they're going for the other way of saying it.
Well...
You know Z in Canada and like most places is Z, right?
No.
We're like one of the few countries that uses Z.
Alright. Well, whatever. Anyways, it was pretty good. And then after that, we watched the documentary.
Oh yeah, we watched Class Action Park.
Which... it's quite insane. And it's also really funny because we could honestly drive up there and see it. Because we're pretty close.
It still exists. It's just another park now.
Yeah, it's like Mountain Creek now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not dangerous, so no one cares.
Yes, no one cares.
It's just a generic water park now.
Yep.
Oh boy.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and then we woke up late because...
Well, we watched the ball drop for like all of 5 seconds.
Oh, who cares? It's just a bunch of celebrities doing God knows what in Times Square.
I just wanted to see the ball drop. That's all I wanted.
I wish it would get stuck, because that would be funny.
You're such an asshole.
But anyways, after that, yeah, we eventually died and woke up.
Yeah, and we woke up. Tiller didn't keep me up as much this morning, which was nice. Then we went. And then we went to the diner again for the second day in a row.
We just wanted some breakfast.
We just wanted breakfast, and like we actually were more hungry than we thought we were gonna be. So we both got French toast. You got like the special platter with like bacon and eggs.
The standard breakfast platter that you get anywhere.
And then I got the stuffed French toast with like strawberries, bananas, and blueberries, and it was yummy. Oh, and then we got giant cookies for later.
Oh yeah.
because they were so tempting.
They were massive, and they were just sitting there on the plates.
Diner cookies. Like, the best part about this diner is that, like, well, we actually overheard one of the employees say, like, that the owner, I didn't realize this, the owner is, like, a professional, like, culinary chef. So, like, all the baked goods there, they bake them all in-house and stuff and make them. And I bought a cake for New Year's, and it was, like, for Christmas, and it was so good. So I can't wait to try the cookies.
Yeah, and then after that, we headed back.
We got coffee.
Yeah, coffee's good.
That's what we're drinking today, since it's only
noon
time. Oh wow, it's already noon.
Yeah, well, we just spent a good hour and a half playing a certain thing that we'll be getting into.
Yes. Well, if you've read the title.
Yeah, at this point. So, we're doing another console retrospective this time around. And you know how I'd joked in our previous Wii U retrospective about that being Nintendo's second biggest failure?
Yes.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about Nintendo's most infamous failure.
Yes.
The Virtual Boy.
Yep.
One of the most fascinating pieces of junk you'll ever experience.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I have to put a disclaimer. A lot of opinions you'll see on the Virtual Boy, you have to take with a grain of salt, because you cannot give an opinion on the Virtual Boy unless you have actually played one.
Yeah.
Because it is an experience that you can only get in person.
Yeah.
Like, you can't look at a video and get the same effect.
Yeah.
But I guess before we get into our experience with it, we should go a little bit into the history of the system, because it is kind of depressing when you really think about it.
1 year of life.
Yeah. So, the system itself was actually the technology for it actually originally originated back in the 80s.
Oh, really?
And it was based around this red LED eyepiece thing called the scanned linear array, developed by a Massachusetts-based company called Reflection Technology. And
that's cool.
it was kind of from what I remember, I watched a documentary on it, and it was kind of described as it was basically the Google Glass years before, but it was this bulky thing that went over your eye.
Oh.
And eventually,
a scouter.
Yeah, it actually did kind of look like one. But eventually they kind of shipped it around eventually to see if gaming companies would use it.
Yep.
During the 90s, and they kind of approached Mattel and Hasbro, who were both kind of nah. And Sega declined it because of the single color.
Yeah.
Nintendo, on the other hand, was because the device was known as the private eye.
Yep.
And their basic they basically took it to Nintendo as their last ditched effort, because they originally went to Sega because they figured Sega was the smaller guy, more interested in trying risks.
Yeah.
When in reality, Sega was no.
Fuck no.
Sega was no.
That's too much of a risk. Sorry.
Yeah. But so they went to Nintendo, and basically, from what I remember in the documentary, their demonstration was literally 2 private eyes attached to a welding helmet.
Oh.
To get the idea.
Yeah.
And during the meeting, it caught the attention of a famous legendary Nintendo creator, Gunpei Yokoi, the creator of the Game Boy,
yep.
the Game & Watch, Nintendo's old, he was originally Nintendo's maintenance guy, and he kind of just rose through the ranks, became one of their top producers, was behind Metroid, Kid Icarus.
Wow.
One of the most famous Nintendo creators of all time.
Yep.
He liked it. He thought it was a cool idea. So, and because the president of Nintendo at the time had so much trust in Yokoi, he basically was all right,
why not?
go for it.
Give it a shot.
Nintendo bought the exclusive rights to the technology, and they had to signed a exclusivity deal and a keep quiet thing, basically.
Oh yeah. Disclosure.
Yeah, non-disclosure agreement.
Non-disclosure, yeah.
And so they begin production of this project, and originally it was intended to be this full-on motion tracking, virtual reality helmet.
Yeah.
But then things kind of start going south really fast. So it originally conceived as the VR32, because it was a 32-bit system.
Yep.
It was originally envisioned as this motion control thing that was battery operated, so it could be taken on the go.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem was, though, the motion tracking was just too imprecise.
Yep.
And could cause motion sickness.
Oh no.
combined with, because of the time they were concerned with radio waves being that close to the brain, they had to put a whole bunch of metal plating on the inside, which weighed it down, so it no longer could be supported by a head strap. So it was relegated to on a stand, because they were also worried about kids running around with it on their heads and taking their heads off. So...
Yeah, probably the stand was probably a good idea thinking about that, because I can just imagine, like, what if a kid, I don't know, decided to play with it outside and just started running around and then just went out into, like, I could just totally
You also got to
see
realize, though, the technology was not even close to that at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But, so it got relegated to an underpowered, because it had lower, like, powered hardware to compensate for the batteries.
Yep.
Because that was Nintendo's thing. And... basically, it was confined to a stand. It still had to stay... So the reason why it had to stay battery-powered is because they had already built the custom plastic, like... They had already paid for all the custom plastic shells and stuff to put this system in.
Yep.
So it was basically just kind of like... It was like a constant, like, thing after thing.
Yep.
But
couldn't get a break.
Koei kept working on it. He was like, fine, I'll make it work.
Yeah.
And then the fifth generation happens, and PlayStation's out, the Saturn's out, Nintendo, the N64 still not ready.
Yep.
Nintendo needs something on the market, so they go in to look at the Virtual Boy, and it's like, it's just barely ready.
It's barely time for it to...
Like, it was not even close to what it was intended to be.
No.
So Nintendo basically forced it out. Like, had to divert everything else to the N64.
So it really must have been just like the first draft of it. Is what we got. Like, we didn't really get any of the final
We don't really know what Yoko... We never really found out what Yoko's actual plans were.
Yeah.
But it was actually at one point considered, like... It was being touted as Nintendo's fourth product.
Oh!
Like, because after, like, the NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy.
Yep.
But, yeah, so it comes out, and then we get the other major issue.
Yeah.
There was some studies going around, basically, about the... what the effects would go on the eyes, because they were concerned. Yeah. So the company Reflections that made the technology was doing tests it was someplace in, like, Massachusetts. Yep. To see if the effects on the eyes. Unfortunately, they didn't get done in time for the Japanese release. Oh. So the Japanese release, the system was plastered with warning labels and all these things that basically were like over exaggerations of what the system could do.
Well, because they didn't have the confirmed information, so they kind of had
and they pre-programmed in all the because every game in the system has a pre-programmed like wait feature, which is something that happens on the 3DS nowadays too. Yeah. But it was basically a programmed like take a break feature. Yeah. But the thing is, because of all those labels, everyone in Japan was like, I ain't touching that.
Yeah. No.
But the thing is, though, eventually the tests come in from America, and they find out it's actually not that bad for your eyes. Yeah. It's actually in some ways beneficial. Like it was only really harmful for kids under like the age of like I think it was like 7, where the eyes are still developing. Yeah. But unfortunately, it came in too late, and the damage was already done. Japan had already given up.
Japan had already said, like, get this off the market, please.
So then, of course, it releases in America, and it actually does fairly well at first, but that is a very short-lived period.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
And honestly, I don't think it's even because of the hardware itself. I mean, it's janky, it's obnoxious, it's not really quite what anyone would want. Yeah. But at the same time,
it was interesting.
It was cool. Yeah. I mean, I admit it's kind of cool still, even now. Like, it's an effect that you truly have to experience.
Well, especially because it kind of gave the idea of virtual reality, and no one else had really even stepped into that possible territory at the time. So,
problem is,
seemed interesting.
Problem is, most of the games did not even make an attempt to like make a use of this. Nope. And so, unfortunately, the system essentially bombs. I mean, the freaking commercials for the thing were bizarre.
Oh, they
like,
were?
One of the most famous ones is the freaking Virtual Boy is a freaking like giant freaking like Doombot walking around. Oh. And it like captures people to play it on their faces. It's so freaking disturbing.
Ugh, that's creepy.
There's like ads with like kids with like these like horrified faces. It's like they look totally thrilled to play the Virtual Boy.
Yeah, they look real excited about this.
So unfortunately, it bombed miserably, and Nintendo basically whitewashed it from like existence. Like wanted that gone. Like no member. It's rare that you'll ever see like I think like the most like references you'll see to the Virtual Boy are like, well, before recently where it became ironic. Like I remember Smash Brothers Melee. They had that diorama with all the Nintendo consoles in the background. Up to the point the Virtual Boy was there, and I remember everyone was like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah, what is that red thing back there?
Nowadays, they kind of make fun of it ironically, so it's like in Tamagotchi life, the all hail the Virtual Boy.
Oh, yep. Nice.
But unfortunately, so it's a bit of a misconception to what happened after, because initially, Gunpei Yokoi was planning on retiring from Nintendo.
Yep.
But he stayed on to do the Virtual Boy project.
Yep.
And then once it failed miserably, so the misconception is that he was like blacklisted at Nintendo and like basically kicked upstairs.
Yeah.
That is apparently not exactly true, because apparently the president of Nintendo was like, wasn't your fault, and like, yada, yada, yada.
And I really don't think it was, because,
no.
like, listening to the backstory, it got rushed and it wasn't finished, and after playing the games, you can tell it wasn't finished.
No, but the big misconception was that he was, like, blacklisted and kind of shamed in the company. Yeah. It's not quite the case. He was just kind of, the reason why, because he wanted to retire.
He was planning on retiring.
The reason why he didn't immediately retire is because he didn't want it to look like he was getting fired. So he stayed on for a short while later, and he actually did, in the process, create the Game Boy Pocket, which was the smaller, redesigned Game Boy.
Oh, nice.
Before he left. It was kind of like his parting gift to the company.
Yeah.
And of course, the Game Boy Pocket was massively successsul.
Yeah.
So then, unfortunately...
So he went out with a bang.
Yeah, and then it gets sad.
Oh.
So then he goes on, forms his own company. I think it was like called Kyoto Labs.
Oh.
And he creates a new handheld with Bandai called the Wonder Swan.
Oh.
Which only released in Japan, although you can get them easily over here. They're so easy to import. Mm-hmm. And he sadly, tragically, right before it released, was killed in an automobile accident.
Oh.
And he was only like in his 40s, I think.
Oh, it's so tragic.
But yeah, he died like right shortly after. It's really sad.
Yeah. Is that kind of why you think like the Wonder Swan never took off?
No, the Wonder Swan never took off because it wasn't the Game Boy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, the Wonder Swan's a pretty cool system for what it is. It was pretty powerful for the time. It was actually it was like on a little bit weaker than a Game Boy Advance.
Yep. Oh wow, so that's pretty neat.
Like it could play Final Fantasy IV on it.
Oh wow.
But it also never released in America, sort of a limited shelf life. But yeah, unfortunately there was that, and then after he passed away, and the Virtual Boy kind of has just become kind of this laughing stock of Nintendo's history, where everyone, it's kind of the punching bag of jokes.
Yeah.
Now, I guess before we get into our experience with the system itself, we should probably go over the process of hooking the thing up, because it's...
Oh, yeah.
So, there is no... So, the Virtual Boy is technically a portable. In a really weird... Yeah. Because it's...
Air quotes. Lots of them.
When it was first released, it came with a battery pack in the controller.
Yeah.
I have the AC adapter version, which is essentially... It plugs into the wall, and then you plug the power cord into the controller port, and then you plug the controller into the Virtual Boy itself.
That is was the most bizarre thing, seeing you set that up and just being like, it's literally daisy chaining it.
Yeah. And then you can't. The problem is too. There's no comfortable way to play the Virtual Boy.
Nope.
Because it has to be level with your eyes. So the way we did it was we had it set up on a coffee table, and we were sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Another way I've seen people do is you kind of lean back on a couch and just balance it on your face, which it works, but it's not ideal. Yeah. There's also the belly method, where you put it on the floor and you lay on your stomach.
Oh, okay.
There's also, I've seen some people do the crisscross knee, where they're sitting cross-legged and they have it on their knees. But if you twitch a little, that thing's going over.
Yeah, yeah, because even on the coffee table when I was playing it, it was just well,
no, my stand is actually broken.
Oh, okay.
It's not supposed to fall off like that.
Oh, okay. Whoops. But still, even if it wasn't, it probably still would have.
There's also the pictures of the people just lying on their back with it just on their face, sitting there.
I guess that makes sense.
James Rolfe tried that in his video, and it didn't work.
I feel like you need to put a headband around it.
Yeah, and then the other key thing before we talk about our experiences was setting so on top of the Virtual Boy there is 2 dials. There's a dial that twists, which is kind of one axis, and then there's a slider, and they're basically focusing axes.
Yeah.
And you want to get the thing just right, or else it's gonna hurt your eyes.
Yeah.
Because you'll get like double vision and stuff, and it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
So one reason I think most people have issues with the Virtual Boy is because they don't do this at the start.
Yeah.
And it's blurry or it's off focus and it hurts their eyes and makes it hard to play.
Yeah.
So make sure you set the thing right if you're going to play it.
Yep.
But I mean, other than that, then of course it's just pretty simple. It's really weird because the on switch is on the controller.
Yeah.
But the volume dial is on the system itself.
Yeah.
Because the system has pretty powerful speakers.
No, yeah. Well, we kind of did like a little recording to show Bill playing it, and it was like funny. Like you could hear it very clearly. Like I could hear it very clearly when I was filming him.
And I mean, it is a 32-bit system, so it's got some decent rudimentary 3D.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's literally two screens like that are facing like opposite directions from each other, and then there's mirrors, and you're basically looking at the two mirrors which are reflecting to the screens. Huh. And that's how it does the 3D effect.
Yeah. Does it have like a audio jack, like a headphones port?
Oh, okay.
Because I was gonna say I don't really know. Just imagine. Now I'm just imagining it, but imagine having a bulky pair of headphones on your head as well. Back in the time this came out, like you'd probably look so silly.
I mean, you look silly regardless, but
oh yeah, you look silly regardless. But add like chunky headphones and like boom, like you just look goofier.
And it actually does have an unused link cable port down on the bottom. So I think there was at one point there was going to be like multiplayer games that you could link two Virtual Boys together.
Yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen because. I don't think anyone would have made use out of it.
It would have been something.
It would have been something, but wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's a process to get going. But once you actually get playing, it's pretty interesting. Oh, I guess actually one more thing we should mention is the controller itself.
Oh, yeah.
It is the most bizarre yet interesting controller ever because it's really comfortable.
Yeah, no, it's very comfortable.
Like, it has, like, molded hand grips.
Yes.
But then it's like, so it has 2D pads because it was early 3D and they didn't know what to do. And then the start and A button are on one, the A and B button are on one side, and then the start and select on the other. So it's like a symmetrical controller design.
Yeah.
And then there's two triggers on the back. It is really weird, but it's also really comfortable. It is such an oddity.
It is, like when I was playing it, it is very comfortable in your hands. It did take me a little bit. Well, the only thing that's, like, hard is that, like, it takes you a little bit to get adjusted to the buttons because, like, when you can't see them, like, it does trick the mind. And it was more whenever I needed to press the start and, like, select buttons, that's when I would get tripped up. But for the most part, once I got it down, it made sense. But it also, like, with the way we had it set up, so it had, like, the cord on the back and stuff, it was very, like, chunky in the back.
Yeah.
Like, it juts out. Like, you know.
Because the big power box is on the back of the thing.
Yeah. So it does look a little silly. But it is very comfortable.
Yep. So before we get into our games, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Woo!
And we're back.
We are back.
So, now getting into the Virtual Boy's game library is pretty interesting because...
Because it's very limited.
It is not a big library in the slightest.
No.
It is...
You owned, like, almost all of it, and you could fit it all in your hand.
So, the Virtual Boy in total had only 22 games released.
Wow.
19 were released in Japan only, and 14 were released in America. 22 games total when you count the ones that were released in both countries.
Yep.
And I have almost all of the U.S. library. I'm missing like 5, I think.
Yep.
So, the most successful game on the Virtual Boy is... It's debatable depending on your taste, but the most generally confirmed successful game on the system was Virtual Boy Wario Land.
Yep.
Which is actually the second game in the Wario Land series after the original Game Boy game.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty cool side-scrolling like puzzle platformer where you kind of go through doors, you want to find treasure, and go through a bunch of stages as Wario. It has some cool, like, 3D effects with, like, spike balls that will kind of, like, go back and forth towards the screen. You can jump into the background at times.
Yeah.
And it's actually a really fun game, and it's a shame that it's stuck on the Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
And it really didn't need to be on the Virtual Boy either. That's the other big issue.
Yeah. It definitely, like, surprised me when, like, you said it was, like, a platformer, and I was like, why is it on a virtual
Oh, that's not
reality?
even the most ridiculous either.
No, yeah, we definitely played some that were more ridiculous, but it's definitely like, huh. But it's also pretty a shame that, like, you literally can't play it anymore unless it's, like, a,
emulator. And even then, you're not going to get the same experience on an emulator.
Yeah.
But, aside from that, then there's also... So the system had... was notable for its pack-in game, which was... The guy at Reflections Technology was very disappointed with that this was chosen as the pack-in. The pack-in game was Galactic Pinball.
Which I will say,
a really good pinball game.
It's fun. I had a good time playing it, but also...
why is it on the Virtual Boy?
Yeah, that was like my main thought. I was like, okay, this is fun, but like I really don't need to be shoving my face into this red screen of redness and
the only interesting thing with this setup is the way the controller was laid up. You use the two bumpers on the back.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like you're playing an actual pinball table.
I will say the bumpers worked really great. Like,
the system's the controller's really well designed.
Yeah. And at like this point, I'd only just started playing, so I was like, huh, yeah, this isn't that uncomfortable. I was like, this isn't too bad. But as we went by...
Ironically, you didn't have issues with the eyes so much.
No, yeah, I really didn't have issues with the eyes. I think a lot of it came down to like what you said before. You adjusted the screen properly so it wouldn't hurt your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I thought graphically it looked very nice and
No, it's very clean, especially the way the 3D effect works, because the sprites feel like almost 3D-ish at times.
Yeah.
Just the way they're designed.
And it's very well made. Like, the game was a very well-made game.
Oh, yeah.
But I can see why they were upset that this was the pack-in game, because it doesn't even really...
It doesn't show off anything the system does.
Yeah, it's fun, but, like, you're buying the Virtual Boy for virtual reality experience.
And you're not going to find it.
And you're not going to get it with ping pong. Pinball. Whatever.
So then... The other most early game for the system that most people know is Mario's Tennis.
Yeah.
Which is like the first Mario Tennis game.
Yeah.
And also the most boring Mario Tennis game because it is literally just tennis.
It's literally just tennis.
The most interesting thing about that game is in the beginning when Mario shoots a ball at your face.
Yeah.
Because, 3D effect.
Ooh. Yeah, I will say, I played Mario Tennis, I played like 3 rounds, and I don't know how to play tennis. So I just kept losing, incredibly. And
but you know what's sad too? It's not like the later Mario Tennis games where you get the handheld ones which are just RPGs for no reason.
Yeah.
Or you have the console ones which are like super fun because they have all wacky shit that goes on.
Yeah.
This was literally just tennis.
It was literally just tennis. I think the most
entertaining
part about it was when my cat went up to the Virtual Boy.
Oh yeah, she was playing Virtual Boy like completely immersed, and her cat jumps on the table and is just sniffing right behind her. Yeah. I'm like, no.
And my face is literally in the Virtual Boy, so I can't even see what's going on. But I just hear Bill go, "Oh no!" And then I hear thumping, and I hear both of them running and bells and. Oh, it was pretty. I think that was the most entertaining game part about it.
Yeah.
But I think I did I got into round 4 and I just kept losing and I was like, all right, you know what, Toad, you win. I can't figure it out. So, I'm sure if you knew how to play tennis, and I'm sure it would be a fun game. But also, why is it on the Virtual Boy? You're not even really. You don't even get really a first-person view either.
Nope.
Because, Yoshi is in front of... I had Yoshi as I picked Yoshi. And he's literally in front of me. So I'm just moving him everywhere. So it's not even it felt like I was moving. It was just I'm moving Yoshi everywhere.
So there's only 2 games in the Virtual Boy's library that are actually first-person?
Yeah.
That came out in America anyways. Yeah. But, so then another game that... we're not going in order what we played, but... another game that was available for the system was Mario Clash, which is the only Mario game that actually released on the system.
Yep.
And it is essential. So what's odd about the Virtual Boy was Nintendo actually wanted them to downplay like the presence of like major Nintendo franchises.
Oh, okay.
Because they didn't want it to overshadow the N64.
Yeah.
So Mario...
I don't think they had to worry about that.
So Mario only got Mario's Tennis, and then his only game on the system is Mario Clash.
Yeah.
Which is essentially take the original Mario Brothers arcade...
Yep.
And then turn it kind of 3D.
Yep.
And the whole goal is there's like hundreds of levels, and the whole goal is you kind of have to knock turtles across the screen.
Yep.
I'd have to play it again. It's been a while, but Alex had struggled getting used to it.
I just couldn't figure it out. But I think that's also because, like, when I've played Mario games, I've played them on a much different controller. So I think I was just, like, trying to play. I couldn't get the hang of it. And I just kept getting spiked. And I think I had really bad luck because, like, every single time I was just like, it's a spiked little Koopa. Spike Koopa, and I could never get the regular Koopa. So I think it was a combo of I had really bad luck, I didn't know what I was doing, and I kept fucking up with the controller.
Yeah.
So
and then of course the other issue is too. It's a very generic kind of game, and it's kind of repetitive.
Yeah, and I also think at this point, like when I was playing this game, I was getting real uncomfortable, like because you have to sit on the floor and then you kind of have to hunch forward as well. So, like, I'm not gonna lie, my back hurts right now.
Yeah.
And my back hurts, and then my legs are kind of sore from, like, sitting crisscross on the floor.
Yeah.
So, it's painful. It's a painful console.
Yeah, there's really no... You have to, like, build, like, a custom, like, mount to play the damn thing.
Yeah.
So, there was actually also at one point a proposed head strap harness thing, which is, like, had, like, these pads that went over your shoulders to keep your neck straight. It was so funny.
That would have been so... Alright, guys. Alright, make sure to put your neck protection on to play the Virtual Boy.
You looked like you had a neck brace on. It was so... I'll have to look up the
I'm glad they didn't go with that, because, like, just playing it now, and, like, when it started falling back at me at some points, like, that's heavy. That would not be good on your neck.
Hunks of steel in there because of radio waves.
Yeah.
And then another... Okay, so probably one of the most infamous games on the Virtual Boy was Red Alarm.
Is that the shooting?
The wireframe one.
Ugh. I hated that. I could definitely see what they wanted it to be, but you could tell this was the most unfinished of all the games I played. It just, like, this one made my eyes hurt. But, like, it wasn't even because of the red. It was just because, like, because it's all wireframe and there's no texture to it, you just don't even know what you're running into half the time. Like, at the, I did okay through it. Like, it was hard and not fun, and it didn't have the best controls, but at the end of this, I think it was towards the end of the stage, like, I don't know if it was in, like, a boxed-in room and you had to, like, fight a boss or something. I couldn't tell what was going on. Oh, my. That's a bad... Yeah, I'm glad they didn't do that. I don't know what was going on, but I just, like, was perpetually stuck, and I was just like, alright, Bill, make it stop, stop.
This game clearly was not finished.
No.
And it looked... Because there was also a... It looked... Because there was a lot of canceled games for the Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
One of them looked like it was going to be a Star Fox game in a similar style.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
I'm glad that didn't happen. like, that was just... It was so bad. Even if it was just, like, some sort of texture... They just had something, or if it was like a hash marks thing, that would have helped.
Because that's the problem, because it's all wireframe. You don't know where to go half the time. You can't tell what's a wall.
Yeah,
what's not.
No, you just, like, you can't tell what anything is. Like, you can definitely tell that, like, once you know the backstory that this console was rushed, you can definitely tell this game was not finished, but they pushed it out because they needed a game.
Yeah.
And it's sad because, like, it could have done really well. You know, it was really interesting with the 3D view. I also think it would have been more interesting if they almost, like, had it look like you were in, like, a cockpit.
Well, actually, no, you didn't do it, but you can switch to first person.
Oh, okay. Alright, I wish I did that.
It's one of the 2 games that you can do that on the Virtual Boy.
Yeah, I wish I did that. I didn't realize I could do that. So...
yeah, so, and then probably the worst game on the system, well... Maybe. But another one was Telro Boxer.
Yeah.
Telro Boxer is arguably the most fascinating game on the system because it is the one game that actually feels like it was made for the thing.
Yeah.
Because it is essentially, it's Punch-Out with robots and it's played from the first person, and you actually use like both D-pads and like the triggers to fight.
Yeah.
And it's just Punch Out from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah.
But it's actually like well designed. Like your first person, you actually feel like you're fighting in there.
Yeah.
And it's fun and arcadey.
This should have been the packing game.
Yeah.
That I feel like it would have helped a lot. Like if this was the packing game, I don't think it would have saved the console, but I think it would have at least given people a bit of fairer chance when playing it. And it definitely was fun.
Except for the fact that the system decided not to work.
Yeah, well, this is kind of like where the whole daisy chaining it like comes into
she
play.
pulled the cord a little and it shut off.
Like that's the only thing that kind of sucks about that. It's just like, oh, because it was daisy chained, one thing pops out and then boom, like the rest of it is all over. Like at least like if the controller, like, because it's weird because the controller is the battery basically. The controller has the power supply, so if like the power supply was in the thing, at least like you wouldn't lose you could like maybe try and pause it, or at least you wouldn't have to shut it down and restart it, So that definitely showed one of the flaws, but this should have been the packing game. I don't know why it was not the packing game.
It might not have been finished because the thing was rushed out. So.
No, yeah, true.
But these are the games we played. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, Panic Bomber. I forgot about Panic Bomber.
Yes.
It's just a puzzle game based around Bomberman.
Yeah.
It's fun.
No,
but why is it on Virtual Boy?
Yeah, no, it had no reason to be on Virtual Boy. Like, it just made no sense.
It was a game that should have been on Game Boy.
It had some beautiful graphics, though. Like, when it first came in and, like, you had the little mascot and he was, like, all 3D. And it looked great. Like, it looks beautiful. But then, like, you get to the actual gameplay and you're like, oh, it's, like, a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Cool. It doesn't really seem like it should be here.
Yeah. And then we didn't play these ones, but a couple other the games I own are Vertical Force, which is a top-down shoot-'em-up game.
Yep.
Really good. Why is it on Virtual Boy?
Yeah.
The only vaguely 3D thing in the game is you can switch between the levels. Yeah. Like layers in kind of a pseudo 3D fashion.
Yeah, but not truly the 3D.
Yeah, it's another just case of like, why is this on? Like, this doesn't need to be on the system.
Yeah. And
then another one we didn't play is Nestor's Funky Bowling.
Which is just bowling.
It's just bowling.
Said. Yeah.
And it stars Nestor from the Nintendo Power Comics.
Oh, nice. Didn't he have a quest? Nestor's Quest.
No, that's Fester's Quest.
Oh, Fester's Quest.
That's Uncle Fester from the Addams Family.
Wait, no, but wasn't there Nestor had like a game?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure his only game was
what was that one where like it was on the Nintendo Super Nintendo? I remember the AVGN played it. And it was like this guy who was afraid of everything.
Oh, no, that's Lester the Unlikely.
Oh, Lester the Unlikely. Okay, sorry about that.
That's completely unrelated.
Whoops. All right. But you gotta admit, Lester, Fester, and Nestor, they all sound the same. I think it was an okay mistake.
Right. No, but the game itself is bowling. It's just bowling alleys.
It's just bowling.
It's actually one of the more expensive games, too.
Oh, really? Is it fun?
It's bowling.
It's bowling. Oh, yeah, you don't like bowling.
No, I really don't.
Yeah, he doesn't like bowling.
But, yeah, those are the ones. Oh, I also have V Tetris, which is, it's just Tetris.
It's just Tetris.
And it also was only released in Japan.
Oh.
Now, on the other hand, the games I don't have that were released over here,
yep.
There was golf.
Golf.
Which is golf.
Nice.
There was baseball.
Ah.
Which is baseball.
Nice.
Enough said.
Yeah.
And then there was 3D Tetris.
Oh.
Now, we got 3D. 3D Tetris is stupidly expensive now.
Yeah.
And it is essentially Tetris in 3D, where instead of going one screen, it's like you're filling in a cube.
Oh.
And it's one of the only games that uses both D-pads to turn the pieces around.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea. And it's probably never going to be attempted again.
No.
So there was that one. And then there's Waterworld.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Based off the film.
Waterworld. Wasn't that film not successful?
No, and the game wasn't either.
Yeah.
Well, the film was just over budget. And
yeah.
I mean, some people it's not a bad movie.
Yeah. They just spent way too much money.
Yeah. And then the last one that released in America was Jack Brothers, which is the rarest Virtual Boy game out there. and it's mostly known for because it was like one of the first Atlas Shin Megami Tensei games to really come out over here. And it's cool. It's like a top-down action game where you can play as two of the three Jack brothers.
Yep.
And it's cool. I'd like to play it, but I don't have that kind of money.
Oh, is it like insanely expensive, like thousands of dollars?
It's definitely hundreds. I'm not sure where it's at now.
Oh wow.
And then Japan had a few other exclusives. I want to say that actually Japan had some of the better games that we didn't get. I'd have to look into it though, because like there was only like, I mean, I know V-Tetris was exclusive to Japan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a first-person horror game on the thing.
Oh, see, that would have been cool. But that would have been cool to have on it. Why didn't we get that? It might have been very Japanese, like.
Yeah, look at this screenshot.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Like that sounds like it would, because everyone always says like if they put like first-person shooters on the thing, it would have been kind of cool. Like playing Doom.
Yeah.
There's also a Gundam turn-based strategy game.
Oh, really?
That sounds stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this shit.
Yeah.
We're looking at screenshots right now. It's like, who wants to play that on Virtual Boy?
I don't know.
There's also a Space Invaders collection, which only came out in Japan for some reason.
That's weird. I feel like...
And it looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
See, Japan... Actually, I gotta see if I can import some of these. Because Japan, it looks like, got like all the freaking good games. Oh, and then Space Squash.
Space Squash?
Space Squash.
Like, is it like squash as in like the...
No, it's a sports game.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I just thought
But it uses 3D effects.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know what it is, but I'm curious.
Whenever I think squash, I just think of like squash.
And then okay, so rather than Nestor's Funky Bowling, they just had Virtual Bowling.
Oh, nice. Is it like basically the same game except like Nestor is not in the title?
I can't tell. Oh, and they had a fishing game too.
Oh, go fit that, but still, why? They don't need.
No, they're two different bowling games.
Oh, it would have been funny if they just like called it.
So yeah, you can see the theme. The Virtual Boy had a ton of games for it that were like. They were good games.
Yep.
Why were they at Virtual Boy?
Yeah, like
is the question.
Wasted opportunities, I guess.
There is a homebrew scene for it now.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's people trying to make games for it still. That are probably doing a better job than most developers did at the time.
Yeah.
And it's like the Virtual Boy's kind of just become that relic. Like people don't hate it nearly as much as they used to because it's kind of become unironically good now. It's kind of up there with like to me, it's in my trifecta of like those obscure consoles that failed that everyone likes to dump on that I kind of secretly like.
Well, to me, it's kind of cool because it's like what this could have been. Because, like, if it wasn't rushed, I would have really liked to see, I don't know, maybe there's, like, an alternate timeline where it wasn't rushed and it was actually decent and maybe it changed the whole gaming world. Who knows?
Honestly, I would have played the shit out of Doom on there if they put, like, Doom on the freaking thing.
I just think they...
Because, I mean, it's a shame that, like, it has some amazing games on it that are locked on it forever.
Was it, like, hard to program for?
I don't think so.
No, it just didn't
last long enough for anything really worthwhile to come out.
No, because it had so much potential. I feel like it could have been great. I just don't think they started, especially putting ping pong on versus the, like, actual virtual reality fighting game. I don't get why they did that, but it... Like you said, it might not have even been ready at the time, so they just chose whatever was the best they had.
They weren't really attracting a lot of outside talent to make games for this thing. Like, the fact that Waterworld, of all games, is, like, the license game.
Yeah.
It's like Waterworld.
Interesting.
I did like AVGN's whole thing. It's like, thank God they made the water black, because if they didn't, it would have been Blood World.
Oh. It was just Sewage World.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
Pleasant.
It's an odd time. I mean...
Yeah.
Hey, we've done the trifecta now, though. My three favorite obscure consoles.
Your three favorite obscure...
The 3DO, the Jaguar, and now the Virtual Boy.
Yep.
And they're all... We've enjoyed all three.
Yeah, no. I mean, I had fun with it. It was just... I feel like you have to really limit your time, because I'm not kidding. My back really hurts now.
You need a dedicated way to play the thing. And there's no dedicated way to play the thing.
Yeah, it's just... It's really interesting because to me it's like what could have been, what really could have happened. Because if they had more time and it wasn't rushed, I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah. Well, that was a pretty good one. It was pretty short because honestly, there's not much you can say about a system that literally has 14 games.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, thanks to you for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. The Gaming and Collecting Podcast is made on Anchor Podcast, and you can find us on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and check us out on Good Pods. And usually the episodes are available on YouTube sometime whenever I get around to putting them up. Yeah. So, once again, guys, thanks for joining us. And we'll be... I always mess it up. Thank you for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us, and we will see you all next time.
See you later.
See ya.
And Happy New Year.
Yep, Happy New Year,
2022, guys. What?
It's already going to be so far to 2022. Oh. But anyway, see ya.
Bye.